Nah, but really what got to me in this movie, now, I will admit, first 20 minutes, man, I was loving it. I was laughing so hard.
And the thing is, like, all the jokes actually work. In the first 15, 20 minutes of the movie, I mean, you're getting introduced to Paul Rudd's character, and you see the guy's like, he's really wanting to move up after one of his buddies or somebody they knew just got fired. You can tell he sort of is somewhat compassionate, the fact that this guy that he was friends or knew was fired. So there's a part of him that you actually like. They don't portray him as a jerk from the get-go. But when he runs into these friends of his, I mean, it's actually it honestly kind of reminded me of The Office, as far as just there's a lot of quirky characters that you meet in this office, but the problem is you don't really stick around with them for too long.
True. That's the problem with this movie for me. There's a setup for it, and the setup for this movie is the dinner that they're talking about. You're waiting to meet all these so-called idiots that they're going to bring to this dinner, and you want to see what they're like because you know that they're going to be so eccentric and stupid that they're going to make you laugh. But to get to that point of the dinner, there is a whole middle part. It is just one silly incident after another, and what makes it worse, it is also full of situations gone wrong that are so cliche.
Are agonizing to watch play out because you've already set up Paul Rudd to us as Joe Normal, as the avatar for the audience. The guy like, hey, we're all on a job that we're like, we know we could do better and we want to do right by people, we want to do the right thing. You know, they put you in his shoes, they give him a moral quandary, and you're like, okay, I can get this, I can identify with this guy. But then they set him up with Steve Carell in the series as, like you said, totally pointless encounters where you're just watching him put up with this guy, just letting it go on and on when it could have been over in 5 minutes easily, as any person would have ended it. But no, the movie is calculated to keep them together in this series of retarded scenarios.
I think you called it with the Jay Roach factor, because for me the big problem with those Meet the Fockers and Meet the Parents movies is that, okay, sure, you got a good premise here, but it's like a lot of situations where anybody in real life would come in and say something. Like Ben Stiller would say to his girlfriend, like, hey, your dad's kind of beat me up over here. You want to step in and say something, or else I'm going to leave. And this is a situation where it's a great setup for that 20 minutes. You know, it's even got like a little bit of a mean streak to it, but it's really funny. He meets up with Steve Carell, which you think is going to lift the movie, and yet that's where it starts to go downhill.
Enormously lazy.
Because the stuff they write for him to do is just too silly. The situations are too extreme to where there is no one who wouldn't stop and say, like, hey, dude, you have to leave, and I'm not taking no as an answer.
Yeah.
Or when somebody's interrupting a business dinner that he knows his future's built on, would you stop and say to everybody, look, this is what's going on. Let me call the cops or get these people out of here. Because business had to be taken care of. And because it doesn't do that, it pops you out of the movie.
Yeah. And the thing with Steve Carell's character is that in the beginning, I actually found myself liking that character. I didn't know how ridiculous it was going to get until, like, it seemed like every joke that, at least at the beginning when you're introduced to him, I mean, you do find something likable about him. The guy, like, does these dioramas involving these mice. There's usually a
like
female.
Dead mice, like
dead mice, taxidermy. Yeah, he's like a taxidermist. But he'll set up these dioramas with these, like, really beautiful scenes of these mice, like having a picnic in a park. You know, he even did a funny one where he did, like, the Last Supper involving all these mice and Jesus, where you're like, wow, this guy's, like, really into it. He's extremely talented. You have something that you can like about the guy. But it's when the movie starts to fall into this snowball effect where each joke started to get more ridiculous than the one prior. And it seems like the snowball effect happens so much in the center of the movie, it really loses you because it gets so chaotic and they're just throwing jokes at you. And the thing is, there's a few jokes that I was laughing at, but there would be a joke that would be so excruciatingly painful that I honestly didn't, when you guys were running out of the theater, I almost didn't blame you because it was like a fire, a small fire that got just out of control.
Yeah. Well, they kept trying to, like, make you like at least slightly like Steve Carell by introducing characters who were even worse and more cartoonish and impossible than he was, and just a steadily increasing set of them, like Zach Galifianakis, where you're like, okay, I like this actor. Why is he playing this totally retarded character in this that is not it's not even mildly plausible in real life.
And the scene where they
you know?
introduce him is completely flat.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
completely
it's
flat.
super
Just
flat.
irritating to watch.
Well,
And Paul Rudd, he's being the Ben Stiller, Jason Biggs, where they go like, we have to make him a nice guy, but their movie definition of a nice guy is somebody who's completely run over and never speaks up.
Well, yeah,
for himself.
yeah,
You
that's-
can be nice and still say like, hey, guys, this needs to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't speak up for himself at all. And his situations that seem like they're so easy to do now. They're just setups for things to go wrong. And some people might like the predictability of them. I don't. Maybe I've seen them too much. He breaks up with his girlfriend just so that they can like throw in funny stuff of somebody messing up where he could actually get back with his girlfriend. They set up this whole thing of him about to get a promotion just to see how Steve Carell can come in and screw up this promotion. And you predict everything that's going to go wrong with it.
Where are you from?
We are from Switzerland.
Barry, you know what? We're going to focus on business right now.
Switzerland. I love Switzerland. It is one of my favorite countries. I love your army knives with the toothpicks and your cheese. Does the cheese come out of the cow with the holes? Our countries are not enemies. They are friends. We are friends.
You have been to Switzerland?
No, but I have a friend who drives a Volvo. And I speak a little of your language. Heard if he said there, tired of heard if heard of you.
Yeah, well, and they also happen to throw in the villain of the movie, who is like Steve Rudd's girlfriend, is also works for this guy who you could tell he's into her. I can't remember.
Jermaine Clement from the
Jermaine Clement,
Flight of the Conchords.
where it's like I've seen that character before so many times, and in this one, the comedy kind of falls flat
It does
on him
make
too
me-
at times.
Makes you think of the Gentleman Broncos character.
It does. It really does.
Which
yeah.
is not a good
Right,
idea.
right,
Right.
Now, here's the thing. Like, you guys got up and left, and, like, yeah, Cole said, like, we
Yeah.
sort of couldn't blame you. I mean, it's not the worst we've seen, but it was
Yeah.
pretty bad at that point, and it seems like it's unrecoverable. But I just wasn't thinking about leaving just because, well, okay, look, it's dinner for schmucks. I've seen there's going to be the dinner. I want to see where the dinner's going to go. And maybe if that starts out bad, I'm out of here, too. But the thing is, like, right before he gets there, you guys got up and left. A little bit more the bullshit. And then we get to a scene where they kept wanting to have tender moments that fell flat, but they had one genuine one with Steve Carell working on his mice stuff. And it comes to you where it's like the one part that had real heart because he's dealing with the trauma of his wife leaving him, and that's how he expresses himself.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like, it's very quiet. They don't really, like, hit you over the head with it. But it just kind of hits you like, wow, this is actually profound, and a movie built around this would be good. Once you come out of that, they go into the dinner. And the dinner is a good payoff. Like, whoever did the first 20 minutes did the last 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Because the other idiots and morons they have there, they are hilarious.
That last part of the movie felt like almost an apology letter for what we saw
Yes.
before. It seemed like completely different writers took over. And that one scene that you're describing where you see him working on his mice, it is a very profound moment because that scene right there was like the big heart of the film. And you honestly really looked at that character and was like, wow, this guy just whatever relationship he has was extremely tragic to him.
Yeah.
And it kind of created who he is, and you could tell that he knows that. He knows he's a fuck up. He even says like, part of me died.
Yeah.
And you're just like, wow, well, what?
Yeah, it's like, how is this in this?
What part was that? His brain conceived.
But that's the whole thing is like
it
the
is.
guy is patently just stupid as shit and an asshole in his stupidity. You're like, wow, you're the most inconsiderate person.
But
I've ever
regardless
lived.
of that,
I don't blame your wife for leaving you.
I don't blame you, but regardless of that, I mean, that scene really showed that he really did care and love for this woman, and what's good about that is that as soon as the dinner scene happens, and you meet the rest of the crazy crew of people, which is really, that is like the biggest payoff of this film.
It is, 'cause
when
they
they get to the actual dinner, and when they get to the actual dinner, you're like, wow, if this were a short, this would be the greatest short ever. Because just the crazy characters. There's a guy who comes in with a vulture. I mean, there's a comedian. I can't remember his name.
Jeff Dunham with the ventriloquist.
And he comes in with this dummy.
I hate Ben.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, Jeff Dunham, the one with Peanut?
Awful.
Yeah, I know. I hate Jeff Dunham. I didn't even recognize it was him. But
I didn't know who he was.
He had a dummy who was like his wife.
His ex-wife?
Like his ex-wife who had her tits out and was like just calling him like a no-dick motherfucker the whole time and flirting with the other people there.
Yeah.
And it was like a hilarious
Yeah.
routine. I was
Yeah.
like, man, Jeff Dunham should do this all the time because normally I can't stand him.
Yeah. Every time he was on screen, it was hilarious. But the crazy thing is that the effect of that film being so dark is that when you see that
added to
ventriloquist
it.
dummy, it looked like a real person.
Yeah.
It looked like that girl from Brazil with the stretched face. Where you're just like, as soon as I saw that, I went, "Holy fuck! What the hell is
Well,
that?"
you know what y'all talking about a dummy? I didn't even know that wasn't a midget. It was so dark.
But you know what? That's the thing.
But you don't know.
You don't know.
At first you think it
don't
is.
know. Yeah, because you're like, wow, is this like a Batman villain hanging out or what?
Shit, that could have been like a midget hooker that Jeff Dunham cooked up.
That's what it looks like.
But I